Okay, good evening all. Great to see a good number of watchers. Nick M0DSR, are you going to join us in transmitting, I wonder? If so, please put it up on the chat. Just got to turn that for audio gain down, otherwise it all goes horribly wrong. Okay. Too many computers, too many windows open. Transponder's a bit quieter now, so okay, Nick, got that. Transponder's a bit quieter now, so might even be able to turn the power down a bit, but I wanted people to be able to see this. Good evening, welcome to the BATC QO100 Net. Using a slightly different transmit setup here tonight. I'll talk about that later. What's going on in the world of BATC? Well, CQTV is closing for press this weekend, so that'll be the main activity for the next couple of days. Next week or so. Over the weekend on Sunday, Dwingaloo are going to be active on reception on 70, 23 and 13 SEMS. Sunday 7 AM till 11 AM UK time. Contact them via dxspot.batc, the BATC DXspot page. The web page is linked off of the main BATC page, and they should have a mini tuner there ready to receive us. Following weekend is the 50 and 70 megs contest, so don't forget to plan for that in a week and a bit's time. Unfortunately, I'm unable to get out for that. Right, I see we have 3 transmitters so far, but really good to see Don, Nick, Mike and David all watching there, and no doubt many more on the stream and the like. Round to Colin first, then it'll go round to Mike G0MJW, and after that to Rob M0DTS. So G4KLB to take it, G8GKQ and the QO100 Net. And the QO100
Net. Okay then, thanks a lot, Dave. The honour of being first for once, more or less. So, okay, that's very good, excellent. So, oh dear, not much has changed in here really since last week. We're mainly doing other projects today. We've had the roof off the garage, and we've got a new roof on, but it's not bolted down yet. So, a whole load of work to do tomorrow for that. But I've been mainly building Ryde receivers for GB3SQ. I showed them last week. So we've been actually doing a bit of messing about doing lettering for the front panel. That was one that didn't work. It was nearly perfect, and then I went and messed it up by putting a pen on the side, and it sucked the ink underneath and made a nasty pattern. So I'm having to redo that again. So we've sort of been experimenting lacquering the fronts and that sort of thing. So it's a bit of an experiment there. And then each time I varnish it, I find a bit of dust or something has got on it. So that's taken far too long, actually, far too long. Dear oh dear. But yeah, okay. I was actually ready because the people on SQ. GB3SQ, I do an hour net on there before I come on here, and I usually forget what day it is by the time, and they're very kind to remind me of the fact that it's QO100. So you're not going to get dinner for another hour, basically. That's what that is. So there we go. Yeah, not as many at this current time, but I'm sure some will join us. Noel's got no power. Oh dear, no power. That's not good, is it? But anyway, that's probably enough for the first time round. But yeah, we've been getting on with what we can. So getting bits for the repeater really is what we're prioritising. We've had Viv and Ivor down, G1IXE and G1IXF, portable into the repeater today, the last couple of nights. So that's been excellent. There's a bit of portable operation into our local repeater, so that's really good. Okay then, round to whoever was next. Mike, I think it is, isn't it? Okay then, I can't put a test card on this particular setup. We're using standard ports down, Logitech webcam, and it seems quite reliable, this setup.
Okay, hopefully I've got some audio. Sorry it's terrible, but oh dear. Sorry the audio is really bad, but I can't get the C920 to give the audio, so it's coming from a webcam at the other side of the shack, so it's not going to sound very good. But that's because I'm in a different place at the moment, as you can probably tell. So I'm not in the normal downstairs shack, I'm in the upstairs shack. The downstairs shack is now the office really. So it's only got QR100 stuff in it. All of the radio stuff is here in the attic. So that's what I'm doing. Anyway, the thing I was just going to show is what I'm using. I'm using one of these H.264 265 encoders and a Pluto SDR, and that's it. OBS is running on the computer, but only to provide a signal for the HDMI output. So the computer's plugged into the back of this, and it's using it as a second screen. And I'm using OBS to project to the second screen, which is why you saw if your system locked up quickly, you'd have seen a desktop at the start. But, so that's what I'm doing. Not much else to say really. It's been a busy week as usual. So I've been doing the usual things, and been working on the things like the power supply, etc. That's all finished now, and working on the Ryde, of course, as well. So progress there, but I'll let other people talk about that. So I think that's enough from me. Back to the dish, and 7-3 everyone for the moment. I will come back perhaps on a different system, perhaps on this one, depending on how things go. G0 Mike Juliet Whiskey.
Well, it is working, yeah. Good evening all. Hopefully this is okay. I've actually got a test card today. And switch over to the camera. There we go, we're on. Might be slightly poorer video than normal today, I'm not really sure. Let's see what it's looking like. Yeah, it's gone very bluey. The colour isn't right out of my HDMI on my PC for some reason. I don't know why that is. Anyway, got the dog here trying to keep an eye on us. He's watching over, checking over everything's okay. So we're just sort of laid with the head resting on the big batteries here, the old batteries out of the van. So, there we are. Let's think. Not a great deal to report, to be honest. I haven't done a massive amount since last weekend. Well, last Thursday, should I say. What have I done? I was at work, well, basically until what were we on? Tuesday, Wednesday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So yeah, I didn't get anything done there. The only thing I've got done today is I've actually got 3 of these remote amp boards made up for KM, so there's now 3 of them. Got those marked up. Actually, I got some headers in to mount the Arduinos on, so if something should happen, they're actually removable. Previously I had just soldered directly in for testing, so I'll get them all daisy chained on and hopefully the software will pick it up. There's a little bit on here. Where are we at? Yeah, I played around with colour correction, Mike, and I just could not make it any better, so I gave up. Yeah, some of the logic stuff on KM I've been playing around with, like the web interface. It doesn't look particularly snazzy, but can adjust all the timers for the transmit on and off, enable the transmitters and disable them, enable inputs and disable them. You can add some new inputs to outputs and things. Working on a status page at the moment, doesn't really have a lot on there. It just lists lots of GPIO pins, and there's no remote boards connected, so there's nothing listed there. No active analog sync inputs. That one there is the input that I'm using at the moment. So you can see there's quite a lot of spare I/O on there. So yeah, that's like the remote interface to the Raspberry Pi, which is in the repeater, and you're getting in the way, aren't you? So yeah, been playing around with that really. So I got me bit of repairs done on the van, so hopefully get that tidied up. Got a new battery in. I just need to fit one of these DC-DC step-up units in to be able to power the 23 and 77s amplifier for the weekend on Sunday. I think I may go down to Ravenscar, just south of Whitby on the coast there. See if we can get a decent path across to Holland for the guys at Dwingaloo, and anyone else for that matter. So if anyone else is looking, I should be on a good spot right on the edge of the North Sea, looking down that way. And actually, what band am I thinking? I do all bands, no. No compromise. I'll have 23 777s and 13, so I can do all bands of them ones digital anyway, that's no problem. So I'll have all 3, so whichever, no. Unfortunately, coming inland, it's absolutely horrible spot, I would say. So I doubt I'll work anyone UK wise, it'll just be to the east. But I'm saying that, I'll not rule that out. 77s maybe. Anything else to mention? I don't think so right now, so I think I'm not passing back round to you, Dave. Too many windows open on the computer here. Tony, hang on, let's just see. I'm here but have no sound. Okay. Right, well if that's right, it's okay, Dave. I'll pass it round to Tony next. Yeah, okay. Right, you take it, Tony. G0AZQ and 0DTS on BATC Net.
Okay, I'll take it and be prepared to drop carrier with Tony. Tony comes on. I'm pausing to carry on. Okay, Tony, fine. If you can be ready to go at the end of my over, Tony. The question I have is Michelle, does he want to transmit HB9 DUG? Do you want to transmit? Let's put that in the chat as well. Okay, well, what's been going on here? Quite a busy week. Like Colin, I've been building rides. This is a ride I'm putting together at the moment, which will be the BATC reference ride, the one I'll build all the SD cards on that will go on sale in the shop in due course. I can't easily get the cards in and out of my current ride receiver, so that wasn't practical before. Mic C920 audio, it can be tricky because it's 32K sample rate. It's not 48 like most cameras, it's 32K, so it can be a bit tricky. Nick, there is no reason why you shouldn't run DVBS on the satellite. You won't get as much margin, but there is no reason why you shouldn't run DVBS. I have tried to make the Portsdown work with the DATB Express board and DVBS2, but not quite succeeded yet. Those remote amplifiers look very neat, Rob. I wish I could produce as many things as that, but I seem to spend too much time on software, which is the other stuff I've been doing this week. Been writing up a new version of the Ryde. As fast as I try and get stuff out in development versions, Tim, thank goodness, puts up new stuff on the on his version, so I will delay this release slightly and get Tim's new features in, and the Ryde then is really pretty much ready for release, proper release. The other bit of software work I've been doing is getting 16:9 formats working on the Portsdown. On Portsdown 4, and in fact the test signal you saw at the beginning of the transmission was the Portsdown 4. I think that's about it. So the streaming setup for tonight is again a Ryde receiver into an HDMI sender, and then into this Portsdown here, which converts it into RTMP and sends it on to the streamer. So we'll pass it round to Tony G0AZQ next, and then round to Michelle HB9 DUG. Good to see you back, Michelle. So Tony, if you'd like to take it, G0AZQ and the net, G8GKQ.
Looks like we might be there. Yes, right, okay, we got there eventually. And sorry, we're on 4.3 format, and it was set on the rest. But I seem to be having the same problem as we've got, and Clive has got with EY at the moment. I'll put it on the other camera while you have a look and see for yourself. We go on there, and you can see EY, there's a bit of a reflection off the light. But there's our local repeater, which is now supposed to be fully fledged and working okay. Last night, after a committee meeting on Zoom, Graham put a transmission into it and wasn't able to get anything back. I have put a transmission into it today, not able to monitor it apart from I should get a K back. Let's come back to my ugly bug. And that hasn't been successful either, so I phoned Clive and got no reply, just his answer machine, and then phoned Richard YTV, who is now in the midst of a committee meeting for the East Riding people that run all the other repeaters, so he's on the committee meeting for the repeater group. Sorry about the delay on coming back. I'd been using the transmitter on low power, so the line gain was wrong. So I did actually put out a transmission, but it was only about 1/4 of an inch high on the monitor. So that's that. Sorry we're a bit narrow, but I don't want to drop transmission now we're actually in. So we'll find out what's happening with EY, but it is fully operational and no preamps or anything else, and a fully composite signal that comes in. So it's not composite signal, it's a digital signal. It's a wrong expression to make, isn't it? So that's it. Nothing else really to tell you about, but as you can see, if I move this camera, and we have a look as to what's been going on the bench with all sorts of bits and pieces. Actually, we could be better than this, because I've got that camera there, and I've got this. Hang on. And I've got the microphone, which I've now hooked on.
Oh, caramba, no, it's too low. Okay, sorry. I was touching the mouse, which was changing the power. So maybe just restart. So this is the amplifier for the new DATV station. Yeah, of course, it's better now. Sorry. So it's based on the Ampléon palette, which is made for the microwave oven. So normally with 2 watts in you get 260 watts out. Of course we cannot use that for DATV. The nice thing is that the efficiency is very high, it's over 60%. So right now this is the copper for the base. It's difficult to move with the camera. And in and out with SMA. And I'm building the prototype, and HB9 Alpha Zulu November. Pierre-André is right now working on the BIAS power supply for it. So that's it for the moment, what we are after regarding the ATV. So back to
Okay then, excellent. That's a lovely bit of machining there, isn't it? Very good indeed. Okay then, excellent. That's it, and I better mute the sound. Oh dear. Deafen myself then. But yeah, very good. I've got one of those modules that isn't doing anything yet, so that gives me some ideas to work on. So very good indeed. So we'll be looking at that. I don't really need it just yet, but I've got other PAs. I'm still using the original Spectrum PA. I've got 2 Spectrums joined together. So for this PA, that seems to give me enough for most things really. And I've also got one of those other, what is known as a Polish amplifier, which that's planned to take the place of this Spectrum when I get around to it. But there we are. I'm just thinking, if you recall last week, I wasn't receiving hardly anything, and I had assumed my dish had moved, but I in the garage, I actually got sidetracked and decided to realign the dish. so ready for tonight really. So I went out there and I took a laptop. I took the laptop and a mini tuner up onto the garage roof, a little bit of portable operation on the garage roof where the dish is, and tweaked it up, and everything I moved made it worse. So it hadn't actually moved. I thought the dish had moved, but it hadn't actually moved at all. It turned out to be a failure of this device, which is an Octagon LNB that I've done the TCXO mod on. And what I usually do, one side has got the TCXO modified, the other side is just standard. And I normally, when I'm aligning the dish, I just connect up to the other one so I don't have to disconnect this cable. And no good, still no good. So it has just gone low gain on both sides, and so the suggestion is there could be a voltage regulator or something going in there. So we'll have a look at that at some time. So I popped in one of these. I bought a couple of these some time ago. The Bullseye, which has got a sort of TCXO mod done already, and seems to be working very well. So I'm very pleased with that. It's only for TV. It's more than stable enough. So I'm just testing that, but so far so good. We will try and sort out this octagon because it's one of my favoured ones. But there we are. So that was that. So we mainly building rides. I did have both of GB3SQ's rides virtually finished, but now I've taken them apart again because I'm redoing the front panel which I showed earlier. But they've all been wired up and done. So I think I've done a fair bit to this since last week. But it did have there we are. That's one way of doing it. They did have this front panel on, but I've took it off to redo the labelling. So I've got all my rides in bits at the moment. So there's two of these. I've also put a big hole in the base for air to come in, and the lid. I shall simulate the lid being on. The lid also has a whacking grate because it's for repeater use. I put a big a big hole in it on the top, so we shouldn't have any problems with overheating. It probably would have been all right anyway, really. But I spent ages making up like the AV cables, because obviously we're not using HDMI, we're using the composite out, so from the Pi, so we had to make a little cable up to do that. You might see that. I don't know. So that's what we've been doing. They were good to go, but then of course I've took them apart again now. So, just to get that front panel finally done. We've got a slightly different design now, so we're doing that. They were nearly perfect, but not quite. So that wasn't good enough. So we put a lot of effort into this. It's a bit of a hobby, sort of building things, really. So we like to try and get them good. Once they're done, of course, they get kicked around and the paint comes off. But they need to be good once they're done, and then they obviously get all scratched up. But never mind. Okay then. Well, I guess it must be round to Mike again. Any observations re pros and cons of Spectrum versus Polish amp? Is a question from John. Do you know, I have to be honest, I haven't actually powered up the Polish amp, but I would imagine it's probably going to be pretty good. The Spectrum isn't bad though, but I think the Polish probably have I won't need to drive it quite so hard. I think that'll be the key to it. Whereas I've got the two together, but the combiners are not very efficient. Then they don't really work very well. They don't match particularly well. With the pair of them, I'm only I'm not getting much more than getting a bit more, but some people have got that much out of a single one. But using the power I nearly need to, I'm driving it a little bit too hard, I fancy, really. If I need to put any more power up, but you can't see it on the Spectrum thing, but it was put on an analyzer where I took it to Mike G8 LES, and we had a whole day of snowflaking, bit of an introductory course to snowflaking. That was that was a very good day actually for me. Not quite so good for Mike because it took the whole day to get these things working. But there we are. Okay, others may comment on that. There's several of us have probably got both, I expect. So that's pretty good. But the Polish amp's pretty good. I doubt if there's any more left now. I suspect they've all gone now. But and there are two. The other thing that's awkward is there are two amplifiers that are often referred to as a Polish amplifier. So that adds a further layer of confusion. Right, okay. Just got the high power boards of the Spectrum or the low power driver. I have the low power driver in the shack here, and that drives a fairly lengthy bit of LDF 450 into the shed, where there are a pair of Spectrum PAs in the shed immediately under the dish. The dish is virtually on the shed actually, so there's a fairly short length from the PA then. So it's a bit overkill possibly. Possibly didn't need the LDF 450 all the way down. They lose quite a bit in that, even in that run really, at this frequency. The drivers are brilliant. They're absolutely fantastic. They're really nicely linear. Very, very good indeed. But I bought the driver when we were going to do some 13 SEM activity. That's why I bought that. So I already had it, and I already had the Spectrons, because I bought the Spectrons to nick the XRF 286s out of. And I was going to use them on 23 SEMs, but they were so beautifully made I could never bring myself to disassemble them. So and luckily I didn't really, wasn't it? So there we are. Okay, that's it. That's long enough for me. Round to Mike. G0MJW G4K.
Microphone and turn that on, so hopefully there'll be audio this time. So the C920 was showing audio in OBS, but nothing was coming out, so that's something I've still got to sort out. Right, anyway, there you go. So still on in the new system, old system, whatever you call it, in the shack. The only thing I have got to show actually is this, so I thought I'd get this out. Because people might be interested in this, or then again they might not. If they're not, hard luck. I'm going to show it anyway. It's a little relay board which I purchased off eBay, and I'm sure many people have seen these Arduino eBay boards. But this one's a bit different in that it does a high and low trigger. So you can get it to send either with a low signal or with a high signal, and that's really handy because that means you don't have to drive it with active high or active low, but you can even use it as a PTT, which is what I'm using it for. So there you go. I see Dave is complaining about H.265. I'm not aware I'm sending H.265, but who knows? Who knows what the Pluto will do under any circumstance? It's difficult to say, I'm afraid. So I can go back to the other camera and I can give you really bad quality video. If you'd like to see really bad quality video, then I can do that. Anyway, that's enough. So back to the dish, and I better stop transmitting.
Yeah, I wasn't getting any info on your transmission mic. The provider and call sign and what have you was just blank. And I didn't even get any video and audio codec information or anything like that. But I did get stills of image and things. That's on my convoluted pre-ride long-min VLC arrangement I've got on the computer here. But anyway, we got the gist of it. But yeah, I've got some of the, I can't remember, was it 4-way or I think it was maybe 8-way boards that I got, and they basically go on the end of here. So this board, it'll get there, can't remember which one it is now. Digital output, see, is it me? I don't even know what I'm using on here. Let me see if I can get some light in. Can't remember which one it is now. Bear with us. Yeah, on the output there, there's 3 just basically straight out pins on just about anywhere that would go drive them relay boards without any trouble if we needed to. But on this side here, I don't know if any of you are aware of the W6PQL. It's like a high current P-channel FET switch that he does, a little board for it. So I've basically replicated that on the end of here, so you can switch like 15-20 amps with the FET, and you mount the FET off the board, insulated because the tabs live. But yeah, you can bolt it down just in the same way, and then one of the outputs of the Arduino controls that arrangement, so that would switch an amplifier on and off and things rather than using a relay. But there's about 1 million different ways of doing it. But there's 2 temperature sensor inputs, like 100k NTC things. Which ones are them? There's some analog inputs. There's 3 analog inputs there that I've made available at different voltage ranges with different potential dividers on for the inputs. 1 for like power supply and 2 for forward and reverse power is kind of like where it is. That's the Max 485 for the communication, so the 2-wire link goes back, daisy chains along off here, and then each device, each Arduino is programmed up with the same code but a different device ID on it. That there is, hang on, that's digital output, and I think that one is digital input, which I haven't really coded much into at the moment, and then there's a power input there. So that's what the board is. It will regulate it down the bottom for 5 volts. You can stick 13.8 in or whatever. A few components on the back just for the analog stuff. So yeah, there's going to be one of them at each of the transmit outputs of GB3KM. So this isn't steady cam. This shaky cam. It's shaky hand. Yeah, it's going to be one of them on each of the amplifier, like the transmit units for KM, so we can control each one and monitor everything. Better than what we are at the moment. At the moment, it's just a on-off. So that senses 3 of them plus a spare one which is already made. What else have we been doing? I've been monitoring the there's a German station once again transmitting on 8.27 kilohertz. This time he's sending basically low data rate message. Once an hour they're sending a transmission in using the EB0 mode. I haven't managed to decode it yet on a single hour, but you can actually stack the hours on top of each other and build up the signal to noise, so that's next on the list to do. I have received one decode that has HO in the text, and I think there's a T. Very close, but I'll stack 4 or 5 hours worth because they're just transmitting all day at the moment. I'll stack some hours up with that and see if it'll decode. It's very much post-processing with that weak signal stuff. So yeah, no decode on that yet. There's going to be a transmission this weekend. Is it? No, it's Saturday, I think. Bear with us. We'll just find that. 12th of September. It's like the sister station to SAQ is going to be transmitting on 14.2 kilohertz, and that's going to be via a balloon that's launched in where's it getting launched from? BATC radio station in Poland, or the former frequency of that, 14.2 kilohertz. But, so yeah, it's basically the launching a very long wire, 210 meter long antenna wire on a balloon. So I'm hoping to be able to receive that. and that is sort of 1-2 o'clock on Saturday. So certainly be monitoring the spectrum for that one. See how good a signal that is. 200 meters of wire, it should be quite a good signal, I would hope. What else? I'm trying to think. That's probably about it, really. No, I think that's it for me this week. So I think it goes round to next round. Okay, it's back round to you, Dave. Right, G8GKQ, M0DTS, and BATC Net.
M0DTS and the BATC Net, G8GKQ. Good. Actually, I have some audio. Okay, Mike. We'll see what happens with your H264, H265 on the next over. The GB3KM Morse ident clearly works, Rob, because that blotted you out for a short while during your over. Those sensor boards look very nice. Excuse me. I've been asked on the stream chat, does the streamer need 2 Pis? Yes, it currently does. The problem is you have to come out of the Raspberry, to get the properly formatted picture, you have to come out of the Raspberry Pi on the HDMI socket, and you can't access that internally because of HDMI copy protection. So you come out of that. You could, I suppose, run the process to stream back on the same Raspberry Pi, but there's no user interface for that at the moment on the Ryde. So no, it's designed for Ryde HDMI adapter into a ports down, and then all the user interface and everything is there. Your audio mic is almost unintelligible, unfortunately. Not sure what I think you said you were using a mic the other side of the room. The pictures were superb, whatever they were, but the audio was pretty poor. Bullseye LNB, yes, I suppose I need to make sure I've got a spare LNB, because I think I'm down to 0 spares now. Need to have perhaps get hold of one of those Bullseye LNBs. And Michelle, really good to see you. That PA looks lovely. Really look forward to hearing the results of that. And thank you so much for agreeing to speak about it at CAT 20. I'm going to be putting the program for CAT 20 together in the next couple of days. So that's published, and you'll definitely be on there. It'll be really good to see. Tim. Of course, we'll talk about the Ryde receiver, and there'll be some chat about Portsdown 4 and some other stuff as well. So it should be an interesting day on the Saturday of the CAT 20 weekend, and we'll have a QO100 net in the evening. Right, it's going round to Tony G0AZQ next, so I'll give him time to sort things out. I think, Tony, you probably pulled a cable out when you were showing us around the shack. I think that's why your signal died all of a sudden. But let's give you another try and see how it goes. G0AZQ and the net, G8GKQ.
Okay, we're back. Yeah, you were nearly right, Dave. I actually brushed the screen of the touch screen, so that was the reason that we suddenly died. and then of course the other station came up. So thanks for that, and as I say, I haven't really got anything else to say. If we go on to the other camera and just have a look there, going on with EY, and as I say, the EY has not really worked. It's now back in its, or where it was originally, up on its high point, and getting a really good signal. That I haven't been able to get back into it, but no doubt I'll hear back from Clive after he's had his committee meeting. And we had a disaster last night on our committee meeting on Zoom for our local Hornsey Amateur Radio Club, and about 15 minutes in, our chairman, who was running the meeting, suddenly got a power cut. So Graham M1ASR suddenly died, and I had to pick up, not knowing really where we'd started. And I see, Colin, that you are going to be flying XH. See if we can manage to move this. Alright, come on. So somewhere up there. No, it doesn't want to play. There she is. Hanging off the ceiling is XH558, and an interesting situation where it's got its undercarriage down, and it's also got its bomb bay doors open. So I don't think that was a configuration that we would see very often, although one of our guys on our Hornsey club, whose name will remain anonymous until somebody else meets him, was telling me that when he was flying the Vulcan, yes, they actually took the Bombay doors off to see how it performed. So there you go. Okay, well, very nice to come on. We've got 5 minutes left, so we'll have a brief see around. And to Rob, I don't think you can get in, but probably next weekend. You say you're going to be around the Whitley area, so we'll keep a monitor on. I'll keep a monitor on 14475. So if you're around, then you're not going to be even that very far from me. As I say, apologies for all the mess up, but if we go back to the other, have a look, get it off magnet. We are in a bit of a mess down here with all sorts of bits and pieces. But an interesting situation that was mentioned, I'm over this side at the back of that monitor. I've taken an output from the HDMI and fed that into a grabber, a video grabber, and that is now being recorded over on that monitor over there. And I won't even attempt to adjust the focus on this camera or anything else. Right, enough of that. Let's come back onto something which is more of a sense. Right, so anyway, there we go. Nice to see you all, and we'll say 7-3 for now, and catch you all again the next time. So G0AZQ, passing it back to Dave, and for a final.
1, 2, 3. Hotel Bravo 9, Delta Uniform Golf, back. Very interesting talk this evening. So, I received this morning a Pi 4, sorry, and of course I loaded Boston 4 on it, and started to play a little bit with it this afternoon. And fortunately, I was unable for at least 1 hour to make it transmit. And the mistake was that I forgot to put the switch for line DVB. And of course, it was not transmitting. I forgot completely that. Okay. Mini tuner also is working nicely. And I will later on try also with the Pluto, of course. Pluto. Okay. As we were talking about the Spectrum amplifier, this is my amplifier, which is at the parabol, about 50 meters from the shake. So basically, I go there with on the 70 centimeter. And I have an up converter from a company, a Chinese company called Ryde. So it's a very nice converter. You can convert everything from 40 megahertz to 2 giga 6. Yeah, 2 giga 6. And this one I just need a tenth of a milliwatt to get about 50 milliwatt out, which goes directly to the Spectrum amplifier. And a remote control PTT with injecting 12 watt on the coax to switch on the amplifier. And on the other side, on the shake, I'm just using a Pluto. We'll try to show you. Oops. So you see the injection of the 12 volt, which is outside the box. So give me flexibility when I want to change the things. And I'm using the same configuration to do a little bit of SSB on the QO100. I'm not fan of SSB, but just to be there, using SDR console. Yeah. And I'm also using the LNB from Alternet. It's very nice, it's very stable, and to do SSB is really no problem. Okay, so maybe just a small hello, and I wish you all a nice evening. 73, and see you next week. So G0
You should be sending data. But I don't know, because I'm not receiving it myself. It's difficult to tell. Oh, good. It is working then, Dave. Thanks. This is using a laptop. But my Ryde locked up. So having said it was faultless, of course, that's guaranteed to make it fail, isn't it? Anyway, never mind. Yeah, this is back to using a normal sort of notebook, computer, and the graphics card. Now it's H.264 265. Yeah, I've got two microphones on, Colin, that's why. I'll turn one of them off. How's that? The H.264 265 decoder started out reliably, and I'm pretty sure it was H.264. And at some point it seems to have reset itself and come up as H.265 in its default mode, and that's probably what was wrong. So it's just not reliable. So we'll have to talk to Everest to see what he's done on that and see if he can fix it. But there you go. The point about talking about this thing, let me go to the other camera, that'll be easier to see what's going on if I do that. Just a second. It's very difficult to drive the laptop. There we go. Yeah, and its own camera's nowhere near as good as the 920. This thing that I was talking about anyway is that you can use it for a PTT line, and that's what I'm doing. So it's just driving my PA, switching it backwards and forwards. That was all I was using it for. Thought it was quite useful for that. Anyway, let's go off, and I think it's you, Rob, next. M0 GTS. Enjoy the tone.
Right. Caught us out there. I thought we were finished. Sorry. Right. Yeah, it was still very hit and miss, Mike. I was getting bits of decode and not on my setup. Lots of still images and things like that with the VLC player. So I'm not really sure what's up. Yeah, they are handy, them relay boards, definitely. Is there anything else to comment on? Yeah, I still need to get a ride sorted. I may do in the next week or so. We've got 12 days off at the moment, so hopefully get something productive done. I've got a couple of portable day outings to prepare for, but hopefully that's not too bad to sort out, and hopefully lots of radio stuff, so hopefully I'll have lots of things to report by next Thursday. Maybe. After that I'll probably miss for a couple of weeks, just the way my shifts lie. I don't usually get back in till like 8 o'clock or whatever, so sort some food out and that, so yeah, I don't really get a chance. I can usually catch sort of halfway through what's going on, but don't really get much chance to get in the shack in time for that. Yeah, I don't have anything else to show. There was only one comment. There was one station who emailed me about the Quick Tune, Live Tune, something, whatever it's called, software. It's got about 5 names. He's using it on Windows 8.1, and he was getting issues where he was getting some errors and couldn't load or save settings and things like that on Quick Tune software. And it looks like, I haven't had a reply back from him yet, but from my tests here on the Peepo, because that's running Windows 8 still, it looks like if it's got an older version of .NET framework on there, less than 4.6, it doesn't work properly. So you can click through the errors and eventually it comes up, but So yeah, if you can't get the quick tune to work on Windows 8.1, just download the latest .NET framework, which is 4.8, I think. There's a link on my GitHub now anyway for that. I think that's the only update on that. So I think, yeah, we'll see you all next week. Hopefully lots of interesting things to talk about then. So 7-3 to all, and we'll pass it back to Dave for the final M0DTS on the BATC Net.
M0DTS in the net, GHGKQ. Yeah, some good stuff there. Tony, the H.264 encoding on the Portsdown was struggling with your camera going around trying to catch the Vulcan. Yes, used to watch that do all its practices when I was at Marham. Thankfully never flew in the thing. Good to see you watching Ever East. Yeah, the video processing chain for the streamer, well, it comes out of the Ryde receiver. The Ryde receiver is good about a couple of seconds, and then into HDMI across my network, into another Pi through FFmpeg, and then up to the server. So there's quite a lot going on there. But the main thing is it's digital all the way. There's no composite video involved in that, so that's why we've gone for that solution. I think that's about all the comments really. Oh yeah, Mike, we struggled a bit with your video. Minitune just totally gave up and put its legs in the air. Ryde managed to keep a picture, but things weren't so good there. I'll put it round to Tony and possibly Michelle for finals, and then we'll close the net. But very good to see you all tonight. Don't forget the activity on Sunday morning and get ready for the following weekend. G8GKQ, passing transmission to G0AZQ. Good night all.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for running the net. All very interesting tonight, and we'll see you all next time. Let's just mute that so we don't get an echo, an echo. So yeah, see you all later on. As I say, as far as EY is concerned, I'll have to knock up a small transmitter rather than use the Ryde, or Portsdown, should I say, Portsdown transmitter for it, because it does seem to make a bit of a complication, as you probably saw on the camera. Sorry for zooming the other camera about too quickly, but I'm sure that Colin appreciated the situation with the Vulcan. I've been involved with it from when it first landed at Bruntingthorpe in more ways than one. Won't go into that. We'll leave that for a tete-a-tete. Cheers all. 7-3. Good night all from G0AZQ.
Yes, the perils of software that you're not used to. Back on the laptop now. And I think the reason for the dodgy sound and video was because I'd got the wrong settings of PCR, PTS in the in the Pluto GUI because I'd been running it with the H.265 decoder, so sorry about that, but hopefully it's working reliably now in its normal way. Despite the audio feedback. Right, so G0MJW.